Attorney Justice Leto is here talking about what happened in Conrad Murray, of course. So let's talk about what Beth was just saying, Justin,
Right.
about how the defense approaches this witness, Stephen Schaefer, who's on the stand right now. How would you do it?
Well, Christy, I disagree with Beth. I don't think it's going to be that difficult to cross-examine this witness. You know, when I look at him, yeah, he makes a very nice appearance. That's true. But I see him as a pure advocate. He's up there advocating as opposed to just being a scientific expert. Some of the things that he's saying are speculation purely. There's no basis in fact. I don't know where he even came up with the conclusion that Michael Jackson choked on his tongue, because nobody's ever said that before. He just basically made it up. You have to have some basis in fact for the things that you say as an expert, or you're going to lose all credibility whatsoever. And I just think that the fact that he said that he wasn't paid, you didn't mention this earlier, but he testified that he basically did this for free, where experts usually get paid. He came in, he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart because he wants other people to realize that anesthesia is not scary. I don't buy any of that. This is a nationally televised trial. You don't always get paid in dollars and cents.
Okay, that was my question. You're going to tell me that he's sitting there on the stand and he's lying about being paid?
No.
No?
Oh, no. He's not getting paid, but you don't need to be paid in dollars and cents to be paid. What about all the publicity surrounding the work that he's doing for any other time that he's up there as an expert? He's being viewed by millions of people and being considered a foremost expert. He's going to get calls off the hook by doing this quote-unquote free work. So I don't buy that it's free for a second. He might not be getting money for it right now, but it's going to pan out many times over as a result of the work he's doing.
Oh,
I just thought...
That's an interesting perspective. That's an interesting perspective.
I just didn't buy any of it. And jurors are very, very smart, okay? Jurors want experts to stick to science. And I don't think this expert stuck to science. He wants, like you were saying before, he wants to assassinate Dr. Murray's character. Where is the responsibility of Michael Jackson? And one other interesting point that he said that I would attack on a cross-examination is he likened this to an employer-employee relationship and not a patient-doctor relationship. Well, if Michael Jackson is an employer of this man, and this man is not in the position of a patient-doctor responsibility, well, then Michael Jackson as the employer has control over his employee and is telling his employee what to do. And that employer is responsible for what happens as a result of his employee's negligence. And I think that if I'm the defense, I attack that and attack it and attack it, because I think it was a bad statement by this expert.
That's an interesting take, too. Hey, let's listen to, he had a couple of really intriguing analogies, and here's one of them. Let's listen to what he says about the drugs in Michael Jackson's bedroom.
Did the patient have tolerance to propofol? It's not well documented because nobody does this. But we do know that to all the other drugs that act at that location, it's called the GABA receptor, all the other drugs that act there are associated with dependence and symptoms of withdrawal. So maybe the patient is dependent on it. Maybe the patient may have withdrawal from it. We are in pharmacological never-never land here, something that's only been done to Michael Jackson and to no one else in history, to the best of my knowledge. So any dose of propofol is a potentially dangerous dose.
All right, now you're shaking your head, and I heard you
Yeah.
were chuckling a little bit during that. Why?
I can't help it. I just can't help it, Christy. We're in pharmacological never land. I mean, that's a really cute analogy.
It was a good play on words.
Yeah,
I mean, because of Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch.
But let's really say what the doctor is actually admitting is he has no idea what the effect would be. He says it's never been done in history. Since when is this man the historian of the use of propofol? How does he know it's never been done in history? Personally, I can't believe that the jury was ever even allowed to hear these statements. I think they are so prejudicial. I think they're reversible error that they even came in the first place, because it's not an expert's job to start making analogies. That car analogy, by the way, yeah, if we're going to make that car analogy fairly, we have to discuss a car that's trying to drive itself off a cliff, if we're really going to be fair, because Michael Jackson is responsible for taking the drugs himself. This is not some well-oiled machine that's driving along nicely and the driver just decides to step away from the wheel to go to the bathroom. It's a ridiculous analogy.
When you're watching this, do you feel like you want to stand up and object? And if you feel like that, why is the defense not doing so? Because they're just sitting there, yes?
Well, from what I understand, I think they had a conference before the jury came in, and there was discussion about what this expert was going to be able to say. So maybe they've already covered it, and maybe the objections have been made outside the presence of the jury. I would stand up and object right away. It's possible, though, that the defense lawyers are letting this guy just dig a hole for himself. Because, yeah, I can tell you from experience in a lot of trials with very nice-looking, presentable experts, you feel the pain as a lawyer sitting there talking to the jury. They're good-looking. They make a nice appearance. They're killing you on direct examination. But you know what? It's not that difficult to poke the holes into that guy's credibility on cross. And maybe these lawyers are just waiting and they're winding up, ready to hit it out of the park, because I think this guy has opened himself up to a tremendous amount of cross-examination. I don't find him credible at all.
Okay, the one other thing that a lot of people talk about that may be a real tough element to overcome is Conrad Murray's interview with police. Conrad Murray doesn't necessarily have to get on the stand. He has spoken in court. What can the defense do to neutralize everything that he said about what happened that day? Because he did contradict himself.
Yeah, you know what? I look at Conrad Murray as being a doctor who is in over his head here. You know, he took a job that he probably should have never taken. You know, he's doing work that he probably never should have been doing. But this is medical malpractice, Christy. They want to put this man in jail for what amounts to medical malpractice. I'm not even sure if I took this case as a civil lawyer into a jury trial in civil court that I could win. Because the jury would look at Michael Jackson and say, well, you're responsible for your own death. So I kind of throw out a lot of the contradictions of Dr. Murray, and I expect and hope that the jury will look at this case for what it is. I feel terrible that Michael Jackson has died as a result of this, but the man was a drug addict, he was drug dependent, and drugs are what killed him. We cannot go sentencing drug dealers for the deaths of the drug addicts. And Dr. Murray certainly deserves to be punished by the medical board. He certainly has committed malpractice, but we're going to put this man in prison for an action that is partially the responsibility of his employer. I'm sorry. I think this case is just a publicity stunt. I can't believe that they're trying this guy for this crime. It's malpractice. It's civil. It's not criminal.
Boy, Justin, you have made a heck of an argument. I would like to see you in court and see what you would do with this. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us today.
Thank you very much, Christy.
Thank you. Now, switching gears here just a bit, the judge